know what time it is.
Yes.
Welcome back to another episode of RSVP Sport, your weekly podcast where we bring you the most up-to-date information in today's NBA. Little analytics, no politics, no gimmicks. Always makes for great debate. We actually talk about sport. Now let's talk it.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of RSVP Sport. Today is Saturday, December 6th. Beautiful morning after a nice, entertaining week in the NBA. A lot of great games. As always, I'm with my main man, Ronnie Jean, and I am Jonah Francis. Ronnie, what's going on, my man? What's going on?
What's going on, man? Let's get into it. Let's talk some basketball.
Yeah, man, it's been as I said, it's been a pretty big week. I know we missed last week, but don't worry, we got you. We're going to set you up for another outstanding episode here in RSVP Sports. Run through a lot of good things that's going on in the league. OKC has their team back.
Yes. A lot of people are skeptical if they can make it into the playoffs. I really don't see no reason why they shouldn't.
I don't either. 8th seed is out of the question. I definitely think they're going to get that 8th seed. At this point, what do they have to go? 43 and 20 for the rest of the season in order to make it into the playoffs? Look, it's Russell Westbrook. It's Kevin Durant. Let's rule out these past two games. One, because they beat the Philadelphia 76ers, and two, because they lost their first game that Kevin Durant came back in I was almost right about this one, man. 30 for 30. 30 minutes and 30 points is what I called for his comeback game. He went 27 in 29 minutes. So they're making the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Rose is finally playing more consistently on a consistent basis.
Right, definitely. They got Powell back, Rose. Once Chicago gets their groove, we expect them to be number one. So Taj Gibson's still out, but they'll be back.
Okay. And as far as returns go, since we're throwing back returns, D Wade just called me 3. He's back too, but I mean they're not really playing that well.
Right, it's not working out for Miami right now.
Yes, it's really about their chemistry right now because
D Wade's playing okay though.
He is. But it hasn't been all good in the NBA. Last week, DeMar DeRozan went down. Toronto lost their leading scorer.
Right.
And they're 1-3 this week, which was definitely expected.
And you called it.
Early nominee for He's a Baller right off the bat was Kyle Lowry. He's been absolutely balling. Just the last game put up 39 points.
Yeah, he's definitely trying to pick it up in DeRozan's absence. But
once again, just a nominee.
Just a nominee. But Toronto is probably going to take a dip in the stats, especially with Chicago and Cleveland making strides right now.
Let's jump right on into our power rankings. Ronnie, what's up, man?
Yo, first we got Golden State. We got the Spurs. We got Memphis. I'm going to go with Clippers. And then Houston.
From our last power ranking, we had Toronto in there.
Right. Obviously, they're out now.
For obvious reasons. And we also had Dallas in there. Why is Dallas not in your power ranking? And Houston, I'm going to get into Houston in a little bit because you know I don't really trust these guys. Why is Dallas out of your power ranking?
They're not so much out as of who's in.
Okay.
I gotta respect the Clippers right now. They're a little bit higher than Dallas in the standings.
And we haven't been showing the Clippers some love.
Right. Because we expected the Clippers to come out like gangbusters, and they
swinging.
They
swinging.
Haven't quite, but they still have a great record. So we gotta respect the Clippers. They're doing pretty well lately. San Antonio, of course. Golden State,
of course.
Okay. Memphis.
They dropped their last two,
but yeah. So that's why Dallas is out. But between number 1 and number 7 in the West, there's only a 2.5 game span. So
and that's great. I won't lie to you guys. Ronnie and Carlos, and we've been arguing back and forth on this one. Put Houston in. And I see why, but I do not trust this team. I'm not a believer in James Harden, and I'm not a believer in Dwight Howard. Look, they're going to fill it up. Let's just be real. They're stat sheet stuffers.
Right.
But when it comes down to it, I don't believe in it. Their game is not going to translate well into the playoffs. Why am I wrong?
You're wrong because you're not counting in their defense, which they're much improved in. You should believe in them up until this point.
Okay.
Okay, because we're doing the power rankings, so we have to respect what they're doing without Dwight Howard, which should improve their defense. Right now, they're number 3 in points allowed. I believe they're number 2 in defensive efficiency. Let's not forget, last year we were thinking maybe they need to make a change with Kevin McHale because he's not really improving their defense and not playing good defense at all. This year, so far, new additions with Patrick Beverly consistently in the starting lineup, Trevor Ariza.
Yeah. I just don't believe they're really going to be good contenders.
Let me ask you a question.
Whatever.
Does this have anything to do with the hatred that you have for Dwight Howard?
I don't know why you're bringing that up.
Okay.
I don't know why you're bringing that up. Why you bringing that up?
Just checking.
Anyways, apart from my hatred for Houston, I gotta say the power ranking is pretty good right now. But if you notice, with Toronto being out, it's all teams from the Western Conference. Ronnie, what's going on with the East? Why are none of their teams in the power ranking?
Well, Toronto is out. Washington, they're just not better than any of the teams we just mentioned. Within the next 2 weeks, though, I do expect Cleveland and Chicago to make an appearance in the power rankings, though.
And as you said earlier, they've been making strides in this, I guess, secondary early part of the season. Now, we did mention that we thought the New York Knicks and Charlotte were going to be in the playoffs.
New York, we knew that it would be a tough season for them. We expected them to sneak in at the 8th spot. That's what I had them at. Still have some time since you're in the Eastern Conference. Charlotte, unexpected.
Completely unexpected.
Yeah.
Last night was a clear example of why these two teams are so terrible, so putrid. It was exciting basketball only because NY was down by 20-plus points in the first half and tried to make a great comeback. But Carmelo Anthony is who we have not been touching on. He's just not balling. He's not closing games like he used to.
He needs someone else to step up. You know, if you have a second option, a reliable second option out there, you know, Carmelo could get more one-on-one opportunities in crunch time. And
then the Nets was another one where it was right in reach and Melo was just, you know, missing one three-pointer after another where he could have went for, you know, a quick 2 and stretched the game out. But
he also took a bad shot last night to end the game against Charlotte. He could have, you know, he had a lane to drive and potentially get fouled, go to the line.
But again, we spoke about the Knicks enough. Let's talk about another terrible team in the East, the 76ers.
Oh.
And they're not hanging their hats on offense at all. They're terrible offensively. They're ranking the bottom in offensive possessions. Also, they're tops in turnovers. They have 2 players on the top 10 turnover list in the NBA, and both Roden and Michael Carter-Williams. And Michael Carter-Williams started out the year injured. So if this is making sense to you guys.
I like him. I think he'll
high
be
turnover
a great
guard though.
Yeah. Look who he's passing to. You know, you got to take that into account. And whoever has the ball in their hands are going to be high on that list for turnovers. But I like him. I think they should keep him when Joel Embiid comes back, probably next year. Noel at power forward. They have a little nucleus that they're trying to build. We'll see how it turns out.
With all this back and forth going on in the NBA, in regards to the Western Conference's dominance over the Eastern Conference, there's been a lot of talk recently and also in the past about rearranging the playoff structure. Stay tuned. Welcome back to RSVP Sport. For this week, we're going to address one of the big topics going on around the NBA, and it's the whole discussion about conferences. Is it important for the playoffs or not? Do we need it? I mean, we've been having a lot of teams over the years in the Eastern Conference specifically making it into the playoffs basically as jokes, under 500 records. Is it important or not?
It's nice for the symmetry of the NBA, but I'm a proponent of just having the best 16 teams. I want the best basketball, you know, at that time. You know, a couple podcasts ago, I did speak on it a little bit, but we suffer enough during the regular season with a bunch of teams that, you know, have no chance of winning or doing anything important. We have to watch their games. Example, today, Sixers and Detroit are going to play. Terrible game.
3 win to 1 win.
Yeah. So I'm a proponent of just having the best teams at the end of the season, make the playoffs, and fight for a championship.
I love basketball. I love competitive basketball. And as we stand right now, the West is completely annihilating the Eastern Conference. Right now, the record for this season and the games they've played thus far, the Western Conference has 73 wins to only 34 losses to the East.
The top 3 teams in the West have 0 losses against the East. It doesn't look at the regular season records to see who is actually, dominating that season.
Yeah.
It basically what's been happening the last couple of years with Miami winning championships, but the West dominating throughout the.
You remember when Miami played the Milwaukee Bucks a couple years ago? I think it was when they first got together, and Brandon Jennings and Monte Ellis were together, and they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna beat them," and didn't even win a game. What are some solutions to make the playoff structure a little bit better?
Me, I like to keep it simple. I would just take the top 16 teams, regardless of conference, and just line them up 1 through 16. Obviously, number 1 versus number 16 first round and so forth. That will just make it easier and simple for the casual NBA fan to follow. And also, you could keep the Eastern and Western Conference as is.
Until the playoff time come around.
Right.
And keeping it that way, as was wrote about in SBNation.com, a beautiful article put together.
Great article by Tom Ziller.
Yep, absolutely great article. Maybe that would also be a viable option, but either way, as we're still great sports fans, and we want to see the best of the best playing at all times.
Right. For those of you who want to read up on it, it's a great article. It's a little bit too complicated to just explain outright without a picture diagram. So go take a look at it and see. But basically, it's 5 different regions. Basically you play most of your games within your regions and traveling in and out.
Gotcha. Let's jump right on into the He's a Baller segment. We all know Steph Curry deserves all the praise in the world. He's been playing out of his mind.
Right.
But I'm not going to go with Steph Curry this week. I'm going to go with someone not as obvious. After his performance this week, he's probably, pretty obvious. But Monte Ellis. I don't know why I call him that. He's a baller. Monte's a baller.
Definitely is.
Bulls in OT. He ends up pulling that game out after a stupid foul by Kurt Heinrich. Milwaukee, that travel or good no call. He pulls that game out as well. He only scored 23, but guess what? That last shot was the big shot.
That's what matters.
That's what matters. That was a great shot by Monte. And then in the losing effort, he puts up 33 points against Phoenix last night. So Monte, this week, he gets and I guess you guys got to say it with me, man. He's a baller. Who you got, bro?
I'm going to go with Kyrie Irving. He's been balling a lot lately. He's accepted his second role with Cleveland. Definitely LeBron deserves to be the number 1 option and is the main guy. And LeBron has been balling. But Kyrie has exploded. A great second option. He's taking kind of that D role, second superstar, legit superstar role.
That D Wade role?
Yeah, okay. How D Wade, accepted his,
Gotcha.
So same thing with Kyrie, but he's been putting up monster numbers. He keeps the pressure on the defense, always attacking. Yes, aggressive attacking. Let's not forget his signature shoe came out too.
Oh yeah.
So he's definitely putting on a show for that. But once again, Kyrie Irving, he's a baller.
Man, but there's some great honorable nods. Kyle Lowry, as we said earlier on the podcast, has been playing lights out ever since DeRozan went down.
Right.
If there's anyone else that you feel as though we missed, or if you think we got this wrong, don't be afraid to come at us. Get us on Instagram. Get us on Twitter at RSVP Sport, hashtag He's a Baller, and let us know who you feel has been balling this week, all right? So we got some pretty good games for you all to watch out for this week, and we're going to leave that to our newest member of RSVP Sport, Carlos Casanova.
Thanks, Jonah. On Tuesday, we got Mavericks at Grizzlies. That's the first meeting of the year. On Wednesday night, we have Rockets facing the Warriors. Maybe Dwight Howard comes back from his injury. Thursday night, we have Cavaliers at Thunder. LeBron versus Durant.
Yes, sir.
On Friday night, we have Portland at Chicago. And because I'm solely a basketball fan, I am looking forward to see Cavaliers at Pelicans. I believe Pelicans might shock the Cavaliers in this game.
All right. So by now, I'm sure you all know me and Ronnie are avid Lakers fans, like die-hard, crazy Lakers fans ever since the Magic days. So you could only imagine how hard the season has been for the both of us to see Kobe coming back and struggling to get 5 wins. It sucks. It really sucks. But some great news has finally arrived for us Lakers fans. Hope is near. Hope is near. I'm sure you all have heard by now. Recently, Kobe Bryant and Rajon Rondo have broken bread together. They've had breakfast together at a Boston restaurant a couple days before Boston and LA played, and we got tarnished in that game. It's so pathetic now. But them breaking bread together is just step one of our plot to get Rajon Rondo on the LA Lakers. I wrote about it on October 23, how Nash's injury will affect the Lakers. And basically, I started throwing out there the fact that me and Ronnie were thinking that Lakers might make a move to get Rajon Rondo well before everybody started reporting on it. So the question then becomes, how practical is this trade for both sides? Remember, Celtics and Lakers hold a deep rivalry, and even though they are the league's oldest teams, they have not done more than 3 trades with one another in all the years of being in the league. 17 championships for the Celtics and 16 championships for the Lakers. That's a lot of time together. Look, I know the Lakers would want to do this trade for sure, but why would Boston? It would be like T.O. to Dallas, Babe Ruth to the Yankees, Rick Fox to L.A. Let's move right on into Ronnie Rants.
All right, folks, let's get right into my rant of the week here. As we're all aware, the nation is going through some trying times as of late. Law enforcement, race relations, and just plain right or wrong are all being questioned in most of our hearts right now. Plenty of athletes have voiced their opinions through various ways, including social media. I'll try to put my thoughts and feelings on these social issues to the side for the moment. But athletes have a very powerful voice, and to limit your voice to a site or a soundbite is probably not taking advantage of the privilege. Now, I know most athletes have organizations, foundations, and other ways that they impact their respective communities, and I applaud that. But as I see it, in most of these cases that are happening involving police officers, it seems that they are able to avoid legal action due to the laws that are in place to protect them. So what I'm getting at is, it's time for athletes to start directing their voices and opinions at law officials, including police commissioners, politicians, and etc. Use your star power and voice to call out those who have real legal power. Most of us cannot affect laws or the judicial system, but we all know money and power is what promotes real change. Who better than these athletes who act as extensions of these communities that are being affected to put their resources together to make some real change going up the ladder in the nation. Till laws are in place where everyone is treated equal, whether black or white, cop or citizen, young or old, situations like these may continue to happen without consequence.
All right, all. Thanks for joining this week. Don't forget to subscribe and RSVP for next week's show. For Ronnie Jean, I'm Jonah Francis. Follow us on Twitter at RSVP Sports. RSVP Sports. What we say today matters tomorrow.